lights are out and you stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
From Martinsville Speedway, the MNN Xfinity Series is ready to go at it one more time here on a short track in Old Virginia. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Martinsville, Virginia. Last week in Richmond, we were thrilled to watch Parker Retzlaff dominate the field and lead 241 of 255 laps to notch his first win here in his debut on Sim Racing Media. Now tonight, we look to see who can dominate the paperclip in Martinsville. I'm Dave Regal here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth, and as always, I'm thrilled to be with you every step of the way, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, as always, it is a thrill to be with you as qualifying is already underway tonight here in the Xfinity Series. just a few moments old, as Bobby Blazer has gone fast time, as Mason Hoffner here in the 30 just went, let's see here, he negated that first lap out of Harding, Pennsylvania. I'm going to have to look that one up, as that is a town that I'm not familiar with here in PA, as we're just outside the city of brotherly love. Tony Burt goes 16th fastest. I mean, these drivers are already out here, you know, starting to lay down some pretty quick times. Not a very full field tonight, and after last night's performance, I'm kind of glad to see maybe not as many drivers, because I'll tell you what, last night was a caution festival, as we almost broke the record set last year in this race, and you know, that was enough to nearly tear Tony Trapasso to bits right here on the air. So right off the top, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, wherever you may be or however you may be listening. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes and on your phones. And if you haven't done so just yet, there we go. First for Hurst for the double deuce. Go get them here in the youtube.com live chat. Make sure that you subscribe to Sim Racing Media. Turn on those bell notifications and let us know who you're pulling for here in this piece tonight, as we're going to go 250 blistering laps here at Martinsville on the half mile. Of course, we see 67 degrees in the stands and 71 degrees on the asphalt. That's only going to get cooler as we go through the night. We'll probably see it stick right around 71, you know, maybe hit that 69 mark, but, you know, right in that neck of the woods. Of course, last week at Richmond, we got to see some exciting racing. Parker Retzlaff, who won the pole in the real race, wound up winning the race here on iRacing.com. So exciting for him. Of course, last week we had 20 cautions, 5 lead changes, 4 leaders over those 255 laps at Martinsville, and what a thriller it was. You know, that's something that we see all the time in this league, folks, is just thrilling racing. You know, last night, of course, Matt Metler and I brought you all of the action in the Cup Series, and, you know, as many cautions as we had, it was still something exciting, as we were just 2 cautions shy of the record set last year at 33. So last night we had 31 cautions, 7 lead changes, 6 leaders over the 401 laps that we wound up running over at Richmond. And, you know, I realize that seems like a lot, and believe you me, it is. But, you know, as painful as it can be for the broadcaster, it's even worse for the drivers as they work around this half-mile paperclip-shaped track. We can see that the track is almost symmetrical on each end. And, of course, we're taking a look right here in the top middle of your screen, that concrete strip that runs around the inside of each of these turns. You know, that's going to be where the grip is going to leave these drivers. That was laid down there to keep them attached to the bottom of the racetrack. The interesting thing is, and we'll see this later on in the race, there's a seam that these drivers are going to have to stay away from. But Patrick Gitter last night able to get her done in the Cup Series, as he led 283 of the 401 laps. Matt DiCiani started off pretty strong, but was not able to come home. But, you know, it's always cool when you can, you know, when teammates go 1-2 here at Martinsville, or anywhere for that matter. So I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in as we get ready to rock and roll here. And, you know, at this stage in the season, things are finally heating up. Things are, you know, they're at a point right now where the playoffs are pretty far away, but you can start to smell them, that's for sure. As we take a look at our points here, of course, for some reason, SDK does not like the points formatting. We're still fighting with them about that. But Eugenio Alonso sitting atop the pile. He's got a win on the season already this year. 3 top 5s and 4 top 10s. Mike Wright runs in second. He is only 13 points behind Eugenio. And Brandon Minto just 9 points behind Mike Wright, 22 behind Eugenio Alonso, with 219 total points on the season. So that's going to be a factor there, because those 2 FERTA drivers sniffing the exhaust pipe of Eugenio Alonso, they've got their work cut out for him. Eugenio is a very strong driver here in this league. Of course, Mike McConville out of Cape May, New Jersey, in the JAR TCR stable, with Nick Hansen, you know, just behind him. Those guys from JR TCR and the FERTA stable, you know, chasing down Eugenio from Jackdown Motorsports. Tony Burt, speaking of Jackdown Motorsports, climbed up a spot last week. He now is tied for 8th with Sylvain Joly, our neighbor from the north, in the Axon LED machine. There's a lot of movement here in these points. It's not just, oh, ho, hum, the usual suspects. These guys are keeping it interesting from start to finish, week in and week out. And, of course, we last week were able to celebrate the opening week of baseball season. So a lot going on here on Sim Racing Media. So once again, welcome everybody in as we take a peek here and see how we're doing with qualifying. Ethan Ball now loading into the car here in the 96. And it looks like so far not to qualify Noah Hamilton, John Wilco, Matt Mackin, and Matt Mettler, my partner from Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action here in the broadcast booth. But 32 drivers will be set to take the green flag as we've got about 2 minutes left in qualifying, and we will be with you momentarily as we're going to try to get a hold of Eugenio Alonso, so stay with us here, folks. Just trying to pull Eugenio here toward the broadcast booth. Hey, Eugenio, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me? Hey, Eugenio, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Hello, Dave. I got you, man.
Hey, buddy, listen. Strong start tonight as you're sitting outside of row 1. You lead us in points. What are you thinking tonight? Is this going to be an aggressive night for you, or maybe a hang back and take your time?
This track is really hard. I try to keep my car clean, stay out of the problems. Starting outside is really hard. I always lose the position with third car and fourth maybe. It's not good starting outside. But Bobby is really fast tonight, and I will try to follow him.
Yeah, starting on the outside, we saw a lot of times last night, guys wiping out and getting tight in the turns here and just washing up the racetrack. What's going to be your secret sauce to trying to get down to the bottom? Is it going to be to try to outdrive Bobby Blazer, or maybe slide in behind him and just, ride from behind for a little while?
Yeah, I think in restarts, I can fight with Bobby. I need fight with Brandon now. I hope Brandon give me room. Otherwise, Brandon passed me too, but no problem. It's a long race.
It is a long race. Last night we had 31 cautions, hopefully not as many tonight. But listen, man, good luck as we get ready to rock and roll here.
Thank you, brother.
And we're going to send him back on up into the Jackdown Motorsports stable. And I'll tell you what, Eugenio Alonso is a great dude. He is one of the people that I am proud to call my brother here from another mother. And we're going to check in here with... as we pull him into the broadcast booth, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer here in the SNN Xfinity Series. My goodness, Chris, I couldn't get it out of my mouth tonight. Hey, Chris, it's Dave. You got me? Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me? Nope. Where in the world is he? Hey, Chris, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah. How you doing, Dave?
I'm sorry. Did I accidentally move you up into Jackdown, or were you on your way there when I pulled you?
No, I think you did. I think you yanked me in there, but that's okay. I saw you talking to Eugenio just a while ago.
Anyway, well, I wanted to check in with you tonight here, as a matter of fact. Last night, long night here in the Cup Series. What are you looking forward to tonight? I know that you're all so famous. Pre-race announcements were kind of going over like a lead balloon. I know 31 cautions is a long time to be under yellow, but what are you doing to make those improvements tonight for the fans at home?
Oh, I've always got something up my sleeve. So tonight, for those that are interested, we're going to the iRacing rules with the incident levels, and we're going to give black flags once you reach 17 incidents. and 25 will still be the limit. So I'm hoping that for those wanting to be competitive and not want to ruin the race by getting a black flag and go down a lap or two with the drive-through, yeah, that's the best way to avoid it is keep those incidents down. But we also don't want to hard code them and set them so low that we have a race like we had last year at Martinsville in the Cup race and only 3 people were in the race. And I know you just love that one.
Yeah, there's nothing more fun than just watching some guys run around for absolutely no reason.
Hey, we didn't have any cautions, though, I don't think.
It's fair.
we ran green. Maybe that's the secret. Just have 3 cars. No, anyway, I like having 32 or whatever cars we have tonight. I think it's a good number for the Xfinity series, and I'm going to plead with them. We want to be better than Cup was, and get back to the roots of Xfinity, which you've always said has some of the cleanest driving in the entire league, quite frankly. Typically, the second thing that is going to be done is, I don't know if you know it or not, or you probably saw it on the broadcast. Of the 24 at faults that we're giving out, 13 of them were just people just self-spinning on their own. So if we just remove the people self-spinning, we have like 15 cautions or so last night, which I can deal with that. That's not a bad number here at Martinsville. That would be a lot of green flag runs. So in that vein, anyone that has 2 self-spins, bringing out a caution in the race is suspended. Doesn't matter what their at faults are, they just get suspended the next race. So that's hopefully enough of incentive to keep people to have the car control, and if it doesn't, then we're going to have fewer problems on the track, I guess.
Yeah, I know that's always the goal here in MNN, and as you had mentioned, this is definitely one of the leagues that you pride yourself on safe driving, and that has been a drum that has been beat for the last 3 years that I'm aware of, and it just seems like something that, sorry, I suddenly can't clear my throat, but it's just something that...
They did not.
It's just something that I know that you strive so hard for every week. And listen, not that I want to ruin anything for you, but right now it looks like your Atlanta Braves are doing pretty well they're hosting the New York Mets. I mean, it's pretty hard to do bad against a team that's 3-6.
Right. Yeah. I kind of suspected that, and it would certainly be nice if sometimes I could actually watch it. I don't know what's going on with my Xfinity app, which I hate to kind of.
You don't want to crumb Xfinity on the Xfinity broadcast,
I hate to talk ill of the series. It's as fast as Xfinity Internet, as they always say. But I don't know what's going on with the app that I have. It's like it says it's recording, but when you go into the recordings, there's nothing there. Do you have a box or do you have the app?
I have Hulu. I use Hulu Live.
Oh, you don't? You can use Hulu Live. Okay, well, anyway, I may check that, or if you or Bob or anyone does use the app, maybe you can give me some guidance on what in the world is going on with it lately.
Absolutely. I'll have to search around. I know that I've got a lot of residents where I work that use Xfinity. But anyway, want to cut you loose here as looks like everybody loading in for the session. So good luck the rest of the way, my friend, and let's see if we can have a clean one tonight.
We're going to try.
And that, of course, the voice of the great Chris Claude. I did it again. I moved him into Jack Dow instead of, where in the world? Sorry, let's move him back on down there. 32 cars going to be taking the green flag tonight as we take a look at our qualifying results. Bobby Blazer in the B-Blaze Vintage Ford Mustang going to lead the way here on the pole position. Eugenio Alonso going to sit on his outside in the number 26 Chevrolet Camaro. Brandon Minto going to start on the inside of row number 2 alongside Anthony Savignano in the 50. Keith Black and Claude Furlan going to be in row 3, while row 4 going to feature Michael Witt and Nick Hansen. Rounding out the starting top 10 is Sylvain Joly from Saint-Eustache, Quebec, alongside of Dennis Mickelson. Alex Princeton and Mike McConville out of Cape May, New Jersey, going to be in row number 6, with Ethan Ball and Sam Bolin in row 7. Randall Watkins and Chris Claude going to hold things down in row number 8, while Mike Pratchik, in his debut here tonight, going to be in row 9 alongside Ohio's Chris Custer. Bryson Alexander and Mason Hoffner in row 10, while Alexander Gangler, doing the 8-team proud from Big Rock, Illinois, carries along in row number 11 with Ken Ron. Tony Burt and Zach Osborne in row 12, while Richard Pruitt and Ron Fitting in row 13. Row 14 going to feature Corey Burkett and Daniel Moynihan, while John Wilco and my brother from another mother, Mr. Matt Mackin here in the 01 is my brother from another mother, Matt Metler, my broadcast partner in Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series racing, is going to start shotgun on the field. 250 laps the scheduled distance tonight. The only thing that's left to do as we move down the backstretch here is get ready to settle in here. And, of course, we're going to talk about the stage breaks, the tires, and everything else here as the iRacing.com pace car leads us down the backstretch, makes the hard left turn to go down pit road. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab a Martinsville hot dog, mustard and onions, settle in. Race fans, it's show time. A clean start as everybody makes it through turn 1 and 2. Bobby Blazer side by side with Eugenio Alonso. Eugenio just said a little bit earlier that he doesn't want to be here on the high side, but he also doesn't want to give up too much real estate, as he's now lucky enough to squirt just ahead of Anthony Savignano and Brandon Minto as we go under caution here on lap number 2. Oh, happy day, as Richard Pruitt may have been involved in this one. We're going to take a peek here. Richard Pruitt in the 24 machine. He's got a rear bumper full of the 07 of Corey Burkett. Burkett just starts using that thing as a weapon and eventually spins out the 24 of Richard Pruitt. We're going to take a look at that once again, because I'll tell you what, that seemed fairly egregious, at least from my perspective here in the broadcast booth. He checks up, he bumps the 24. They roll out, he's bumping him again, he's bumping. He doesn't try to check up, he just bumps him out of the way and imposes his will on him. And of course, Daniel Moynihan and Matt Mackin become collateral damage there. You can't be running over other drivers, especially this early in the race. We're here in stage number 1, of course, 250 laps. We talked about the scheduled distance tonight. Stage 1 going to end at the conclusion of lap number 60, and stage 2 going to end at the conclusion of lap 120. Drivers are going to have 5 total sets of tires, so you're looking at about 50 laps per set if you want to use all 5, but you can probably get about 65 to 75 laps out of a tank of fuel and then some. So we're going to see basically all of these drivers hold their act together for 60 laps here in stage number 1. We should see them, make stage 2 at 120, and then they're probably going to have to make two pit stops during stage 3, as that's going to be 130 laps to the end. And it basically doubles plus 10 the amount of laps that we're leading off with here tonight. So I want to welcome everybody into the youtube.com live chat, as looks like Vivian Minto cheering on Brandon. Of course, she's telling him to get her done. Of course, we know Brandon Minto very well here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Brandon out of Norman, Oklahoma, with Uncle Scott, and now Vivian. Of course, I believe that's Mommy Dearest there cheering on her little boy Brandon. And I'll tell you what, man, if I could have my mom paying attention to what I was doing, I'd be driving my heart out just like Brandon does every week. And, usually Brandon and Uncle Scott are there tipping back the old Miller Lights. So, Uncle Scott, if you're watching, make sure that you check in on the youtube.com live chat as the Okie number 12 runs in 4th position while we get ready to restart. Also appears here that Big Daddy Reaper said he'd rather grab a Big Mac. I don't even know where to go with that one. Maybe he's talking about Matt Mackin. I'm not sure, but if you want to grab Matt Mackin, he's there in the 01. We'll take a look at him shortly. As Bobby Blazer going to control the field, he comes around turns 3 and 4. Now remember, the restart zone here is slightly delayed. We see Geico on the wall, but where that double red line is, that's where the restart zone actually is. And Bobby Blazer is off to the races, pun intended once again. We can see all of a sudden here Eugenio Alonso getting himself lined up here to battle it out with the 50 of Anthony Savignano. Eugenio, though, Eugenio just gets bumped out of the way. It has to have been by Savignano, as we are under caution. Oh, my. That was probably not fair, as we see what happened with Eugenio. Eugenio, following Bobby Blazer, drops down, and instead of checking up, Savignano just takes out our points leader. That's essentially, what happened there. Just took out our points leader. And maybe Savignano should have checked up there a little bit. We're going to take a look at this from his perspective, because, quite frankly, there had to be a way to avoid that. Remember, accidents are preventable. Here we are riding along with Erie, Colorado's very own Savignano. And yeah, Savignano probably could have checked up and tried to stay off that left rear quarter panel. That's got to be frustrating for Eugenio Alonso, who gets turned around and put into the wall so early on here in this piece. As we go back to live action, Bobby Blazer, our race leader again. Now Eugenio is going to try to come out of pit road without going down a lap. Does he? Yes, he does. He's going to have to get caught up to the field as we work our way in here through turns 3 and 4. "11 laps in the books, second caution on the evening here." And checking in, of course, with the Atlanta Braves score for the benefit of Chris Claude. Looks like right now the Braves still leading the New York Mets 4-1. Of course, the Philadelphia Phillies playing the St. Louis Cardinals in St. Louis tonight. No score as they are in the middle of the fourth inning. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out. That means it will be going back green flag racing this time by as they lead us down the backstretch. And quite frankly, folks, as these cars come down here, we can see the 32 cars fills the entire straightaway. As Bobby Blazer leads us out of turn number 4 back to the start-finish line. The man in the stand has the green flag in his hand. He waves it, and we are underway once again. Blazer trying to hold his own ahead of Anthony Savignano here atop the pile. Savignano in the 50 almost just did the same thing to Brandon Minto that he did a moment ago to our points leader, Eugenio Alonso. Alonso right now buried way back here in 25th position. He's got a lot of cars to get through to get back up here to where he was. So it's going to be a night of recovery driving for Eugenio, as all of a sudden they go single file, and this is kind of what we see here as Blazer just laid fast time down by 1/100th of a second over Anthony Savignano. And now Savignano lays fast time down at 19:16, so he's gone sub 20 seconds. These drivers have all started to go single file as we go through the field. Mason Hoffner right now, one of the few drivers who's deciding that he wants to try to go out here and, hold somebody off. As Zach Osborne looks to the inside, they make contact, a little bumping and banging, never killed anybody. As all of a sudden, Zach Osborne here in the 16 puts Chris Claude into the proverbial crosshairs. He's got Mason Hoffner just behind him from Harding, Pennsylvania. Geez, I forgot to look that up. I've got to find out where that is. As Hoffner chases down Osborne, most of these drivers are all in the in what timing and scoring shows as the dark orange. So not necessarily too close, but not necessarily too far away as Nick Hansen decides to go side by side with the 99, or I'm sorry, with the 87 of Keith Black in the Garmin Camaro. We can see Black here on the inside trying to hold off Hansen in the 99. And he does. Now it's up to Hansen to decide if he wants to go single file or try to keep this battle going. And, you know, there's got to be a point in your race where you think to yourself, you know what? I'm just going to check up and ride for a little while. I mean, you're only in stage one. There's no reason to get overexcited and cause, you know, an undue caution, especially in this league where cautions matter and race lives matter, that's for sure, as we work lap number 20 of 250. So about a third of the way through stage number one here. And thank you so much, Amazon. Looks like now my delivery is expected April 10th. Why do we even pay for Prime if they're not going to deliver it when they say they will? As Bobby Blazer leads us down the back chute and into turn number 3. Sorry about venting there, but it's just a frustrating thing for those of you that order things from Amazon on the regular. You think to yourself, it's supposed to be simple, and they make it more difficult for reasons nobody's quite sure of. As Alex Princeton running in 12th position right now, exactly where he began. Alex Princeton, Brandon Minto, Bobby Blazer, all where they began this race in 1st, 3rd, and 12th. And, you know, those are the drivers that we've got to start keeping an eye on because they're going to be the ones that are the most patient. Chris Claude's already given up 2 positions. We spoke to him before the race. Eugenio Alonso on the recovery drive all the way up into 18th position after being back in 25th, so he's on his way back up. Matt Mettler here still holding things together, shotgun on the field, running 28th right now. I'm not sure if he's got a mechanical problem or what the deal is, but he is losing the field and falling like a stone behind Matt Mackin. Now 2.8 seconds between Matt Mettler and Matt Mackin, as he gets the honorable mention. Meanwhile, at the other end of the spectrum, Bobby Blazer leads the way right now. Something bad must happen. It must have just happened because I heard something as we go under caution. Randall Watkins and Chris Claude perhaps involved in this one as we are at caution number 3. Let's take a look here from Randall Watkins' perspective as he's got Zach Osborne all over him. Osborne gives him a bump, another bump, and just moves him out of the way. Chris Claude stops and basically T-bones him right in the door panel of the Miami-Dade fire rescue machine. And you know what? Let's take a look at this from the 16's perspective because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe somehow I'm the crazy one, but that's the second time tonight that I've watched somebody decide to strap a V-plow out of the front of their car. And, you know, no matter who you are, it's just not, it's not good, you know, sportsmanship to treat your fellow racer like this. Here we are setting up just behind. There's a bump. Okay, now you've had your fun. But he goes in at it for a second time and drives around the 27 of Randall Watkins. And to me, that's not right. And if I had my way, he'd be sitting on pit road serving a penalty. You know, racing is unlike many sports where, you know, if you do something wrong on the football field, your entire team pays for it, all 11 guys on that side of the ball. But at the same time, in racing, if you're going to be out there acting like we've now seen twice tonight with Anthony Savignano against Eugenio Alonso and now Zach Osborne in the rear end of Randall Watkins, if you're going to be out there driving like that, this is not the league for you. That's not good sportsmanship. That's what we're here to promote on iRacing.com and, of course, on Sim Racing Media. And, folks, let me know how you feel about people using their cars as V-plows. As Scott Minto, there's Uncle Scott. Hey! Uncle Scott says, go Minto, cheers, don't wreck. My man. You know what? In the house is Scott Minto, Uncle Scott of Brandon Minto fame. And looks like Michigan Rocker is also cheering on Brandon Minto. This is an impressive night now as Scott Minto has finally joined the YouTube.com live chat a celebrity in the house, as we have talked about him for the last 2 years, and finally he checks in with a cheers. I may even grab a beer just to drink along with you, as perhaps that's going to be the way that we get through this race tonight. Of course, while the Mintos are drinking Miller Lite, I will have nothing but the finest amber fluid out of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, from the Yingling Brewery. The iRacing.com pace car leads us around again as we're on the third caution in 30 laps. We're averaging just about the same number of laps between cautions that we did last night, as it seemed to be about every 10 to 12 laps during the Cup Series race. Here we are, 30 laps, 3 cautions, 10 laps per on average. As the iRacing.com pace car lights go out, we don't see any violent wrecking because, these drivers aren't moving, fast enough to cause anything ridiculous to happen. We did see one kind of crazy thing happen last night that we saw there with the 66 as Bobby Blazer leads us through turn 3. And as Blazer leads us out of 4 and hits the restart zone, you can see the whole front end of that car lift up as if he's some kind of a Cessna getting ready for takeoff. He has a rear bumper full of Savignano. Now, the question is, does Savignano race him clean, or does he try to get dirty like he did with Eugenio? As side by side they go, now the question is, if Bobby Blazer has just a moment of tightness, does he wind up washing up into Savignano? Savignano looks like he wants to make a clean pass, goes wheel to wheel now with Blazer. There it is. There's the bump. It's just enough to slow Savignano down, as he and Blazer are going at it hot and heavy right now. Anthony Savignano trying to cleanly get around Bobby Blazer, but the B-Blaze Vintage Ford Mustang is one of the strongest cars out here on the asphalt tonight as we work our way through turns 1 and 2 one more time, shooting down the backstretch and going into 3 and 4. This is where it's going to make, a little bit more sense for Savignano to try to heat up that throttle coming out of 4. As he rolls down the front stretch, it looks like Bobby Blazer maybe picks up a 100th of a second over Savignano that lap. But right now they are running so close to one another, as we're even going to get a chance now to take a look at the lap time differences between Blazer and Savignano. You see 29, 30, and 31, Savignano's faster. Then 32, 33, he costs himself just a little bit of time. Now faster by 400th of a second on 34. So as we start ticking these laps off, it looks like they're basically, if you try to average those 2 times out, they're matching one another step for step here. As we work lap number 36, we go back deeper into the field. Sylvain Joly with his teammate Claude Ferland just ahead of him. This is the battle for 4th position. It looks like they're going to be perfectly fine hanging out where they are, as Keith Black cedes his position to the 67 of Sam Bolin. Don't look now, though. Eugenio Alonso a quarter second behind Zach Osborne. The interesting thing is, if Osborne uses the same tactics that Savignano does, that's going to cause a problem for Eugenio, who's got a long memory in this league, and he won't be put to bed early tonight, that's for sure. As Dennis Mickelson in the 25, runs the wall just a little bit there. As we can see the amount of throttle that goes into these cars, we actually have a drone cam right here. Come on, I just need this one here. As we're going to go right here to Mike McConville. Watches McConville gets on the loud pedal. You can see the whole front end of the car lift and then slams back down into the asphalt. Our drone camera operator doing a fabulous job showing this off tonight, as once again he gets on the throttle and then slams down onto the asphalt. Let's see if I can get that camera just a little bit closer here. And boom! Absolutely just assaults the asphalt as we work lap number 40 of 250. About 20 to go here in stage number 1. Now we've hit that 10-lap mark since the last caution came out. The question is, does it fly again, or do we have more green flag racing in store for us? Bobby Blazer now looking to put Matt Mettler down a lap as we're going to ride along with him in the cockpit. Let's just see how comfortable Bobby Blazer is. The car might be a little tight as we're going to go to the helmet cam here. And we can see that he may be fighting a slightly tight condition He gets behind Mettler now. Mettler respectively gets out of the way. But it almost looks like Blazer may be a little tight here on lap 42, so maybe a quick air pressure adjustment when they come in for that stage one caution. As Bobby Blazer, Anthony Savignano, Brandon Minto, 1, 2, 3, they go. As we take a look one more time here at the youtube.com live chat, want to welcome everybody in. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications here to Sim Racing Media. We're glad to have all of you with us tonight, as this is the most exciting week of racing, or the exciting night of racing you're going to see all week here. As all of a sudden I have somehow lost my Hulu feed that I was watching the Phillies game on. That's going to be a problem for my attitude. Having myself a nice night, a little racing, a little baseball. As the Philadelphia Phillies are currently leading the St. Louis Cardinals 1-0 in the top of the fifth. Men on the corners and nobody out. That spells trouble for Mikolas, who's on the bump tonight for St. Louis. 67 pitches. And that'll be interesting as Kyle Schwarber steps up to the Kyle Schwarber steps up to the plate. Chris Custer bringing out the caution. We made it to 46, so 16 laps between cautions this time. That changes the average just a little. As we see Chris Custer here in the 66. There's Eugenio. Do they make contact? Oh, yeah, Chris Custer kind of washed right up into Eugenio. Kind of a no harm, no foul incident there, as we're going to take one run back here, as this is pretty straightforward. And for some reason our replays won't work. There they go. Now watch Custer. He rubs the wall coming out of 2, and as they come into 3, Eugenio's a little loose. He moves out of the way, and then Custer gets a little tight and just bumps into Eugenio and spins himself around. Bobby Blazer, still your race leader, up here on lap number 48. About 12 laps to go here to the end of stage number 1. As it's going to be Blazer, Savignano, Minto, Furland, Jolie, Witt, Hansen, McConville, Mickelson, and Princeton, your top 10, as we work our way into turn number 3 here. Taking a look down here at Alex Princeton running right now, the 19 car, as we shift around the racetrack. Bobby Blazer still following the iRacing.com pace car. We should be able to get to the end of stage 1 with relative ease, as long as all things are equal. As we've got about 10 laps now. It'll be 10 laps to go in stage 1 when the green flag flies. Now it'll be 9 laps to go, as they're still out here. The iRacing.com pace car lights go out as we come down into turns 1 and 2 once again. Blazer going to have control of the field. He'll be on the button, as they say. And quite frankly, I don't like the term, but it is what it is. It's popular here. As Big Daddy Reaper says, "Move it 01, this ain't a trip to Disney." That's for sure. If this was Disneyland, this would be the ride from hell, if you will. As Bobby Blazer going to tighten up here with Anthony Savignano on the high side. We work our way out of turn number 4, hit the Geico restart zone, and we are back underway. Nine laps to go, 8 when we come back this time around as Bobby Blazer and Anthony Savignano get a good start and a jump over the field. Keith Black now brings out the caution again. 5th caution, 52 laps. That brings our average back down to about 10 between caution flags here as Keith Black going to get credit with this one. Watch the 87 as he's going to drop down right in front of the 30 of Mason Hoffner. Now Hoffner clips the 87 and slides him around. Oh! And Tony Burt just goes upside down. I've got to see this from Tony Burt's perspective because that was ugly. You rarely see anybody roll it here. Tony Burt coming back up to race speed, coming through turns 3 and 4. I'm sorry, turns 1 and 2. Yeah, he had no idea. In fact, I'm just going to run this back a little bit here. You can almost see I can't see who that is in front of him, but we're going to just go back to the live stream here. And there was no way for the 87 to tow out of there. That's the 73 in front of Tony. Now, Tony, looking at this from inside the cockpit, could never have seen that as he's able to avoid but still not be able to carry that all the way through. Going to be Bobby Blazer once again. Like I said, Tony had no way to avoid that. And in fact, let's see if we can get a hold of Tony Burt, as I'm sure that he's just sitting down on pit road right now. Hey, Tony, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Hey, how are you?
Well, I'm doing better than what I believe you're doing. I can't imagine what the rig might have felt like if you were in a full sim rig.
I was just hanging out in the back, man, but I tell you, I was barely moving, and it flipped me over. I don't get it.
We saw that happen last night where all it took was just one wheel to be off the ground just enough to cause it to pirouette in the air. And
wow.
It's incredible, the physics that are involved in being able to turn your car in. To be honest, I looked at the replay from your perspective, and you had no place to go. You barely knew that it was there.
Yeah, I didn't see it till it was way too late. Yeah, this Jack Down Motorsports Chevy's been strong tonight, too, and I've been out of trouble, and it's disheartening. But I'm okay. I'm back on the track. I'm okay.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, good luck. Go green flag.
Thank you, sir.
Stable. Thank you, Tony, as always, as we get him moved back on up into his race chat. Bobby Blazer gets another clean start, but now Savignano going to go side by side with Claude Furland. Savignano gets away from Furland, and now it's Furland and Jolie, as Jolie, our other neighbor from the north out of Saint Eustache, and Claude out of, oh my goodness, I just forgot the name of the town that he's actually from. And as we come here on lap number 60, this is the final, and that'll end the stage as Chris Custer and Ken Ron bring out the caution. Bobby Blazer, Anthony Savignano, Claude Furland, Sylvain Joly, Brandon Minto, Michael Witt, Nick Hansen, Mike McConville, Alex Princeton, and Zach Osborne, your top 10. They'll be awarded bonus points here at the end of the stage. Let's take a look and see what brought this one out. Chris Custer in the 66 involved this time, as he is just behind Ken Ron. Now, Ron, this is going to be dangerous. The 25, everybody suddenly came to a dead stop, so not really a bad wreck. It's just everybody checking up in front of them, and they had to come to a complete stop, and it got Ron sideways. So Bobby Blazer brings home the green and white checkered flag. We're going to get a chance to talk to him momentarily out of the Furta Motorsports stable once he gets into the pit box. Bobby Blazer gets it into the pit box number 1 in the B-Blaze Vintage Ford Mustang. Hey, Bobby, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, listen, a great run here in Stage 1 for you. I mean, maybe not necessarily the rest of the field. Of course, your front row partner at the beginning of this, wow, you just got hosed on pit exit.
I know. It's all good.
I hope that wasn't my fault. I'll take responsibility.
No. I didn't realize what the pit road speed was, and I wasn't sure where. Like, I haven't even run this car at this track in probably 2 years, so that's just on me. So.
Savignano just straight up came and got you on pit
Yeah.
exit. Now, Savignano took out Eugenio earlier on in this race. What did it look like from your perspective watching all of that unfold in the rear view?
I was looking ahead of me. I didn't see any of that, so I don't know.
Well, you're probably better off because I about had a stroke up here in the booth.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't see any of it, but I know that one of those drivers are extremely aggressive and have been since I was racing every single week. So, I mean, I don't know. So, I didn't see it, but it is what it is. I mean, looks like he's still out here, though, so it's, I'm sure. Didn't look like he had too much damage when he was passing me, but, who knows.
Yeah, it's been a rough night so far. 6 cautions in Stage 1 alone. I mean, we had 31 last night in the Cup Series. Obviously, Chris came on earlier and, tried to get everybody, calmed down before the start of this race, but it doesn't really seem to have helped.
I mean, you're going to get that at tracks like this. I mean, the racing up front has been really good, minus the whole whatever was going on there. But other than that, like, Anthony's been racing me really, really clean. There's been times where, like, I'm surprised he didn't get a black flag for the restarts, which is, I don't want him to get a black flag. I think we should try to restart zones off. But, like, there's been times where, like, he could have sent it in there like a savage, and he didn't. So, I mean, up here it's fine. So, it's it'll work itself out. Every week it does it, so.
Well, and the cream always rises to the top here in the Xfinity Series as you sit here restarting in 4th position. So good luck and get yourself bunched up and ready to rock.
Thank you, bro.
All right, that, of course, the voice of Furta Motorsports' very own Bobby Blazer, as this time Gangler is going to have control of the field. This never ends well for Gangler every time he tries to get up here and lead this race out of Big Rock, Illinois. Gangler just shoots out in front of John Wilco. He is suddenly a man on a mission. John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania, ahead of York, Pennsylvania's Bobby Blazer, who we just spoke with, forcing Blazer to have to check up coming into 3 and 4 as they roll it out of 4. Anthony Savignano strapping on the V-plow and ready to take Gangler to school here, as we're going to watch exactly what happens here from the nose of Savignano. He's trying to catch Gangler now and just close that gap, but Gangler's getting one heck of a launch on exit out of the turn. Maybe not as clean down the front stretch, but he's definitely causing Savignano to have fits back here as Bobby Blazer just laid fast lap of the race down here at 19.06. So, maybe right now they just want to kind of keep their act clean atop the pile. You don't want to get too aggressive and make a mistake, as John Wilco, who we just saw restarting up here with Alexander Gangler, seems to have had himself a moment. And we see Wilco in the 62 just, bounces it in there and self-spins into the wall. So the only thing that I can say about that is that Gangler's going to need another near-perfect restart here as the iRacing.com pace car comes off a pit road and leads us around this racetrack one more time. And while we are under caution, we're going to take our first break here tonight. I'm Dave Regal. You're watching MNN Xfinity Series action right here on Sim Racing Media.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway here in the MNN Xfinity Series as Eugenio Alonso has come out with another caution number 8 here on lap 183 on our way to lap 120. As Eugenio not having a good night here on the racetrack as he was alongside Chris Custer in the 66. Now we're going to watch Eugenio just make contact with the 66, and that's not what you want to do. That's for sure. Now Alexander Gangler, still our race leader, as when we stepped away, we were under caution, and then we came back and went green flag racing. Can't make everybody happy, as I've already gotten people whining. As we've got shots fired in the youtube.com live chat. I'll quit saying it when it becomes less true. As Alexander Gangler runs here in the lead. It's going to be Gangler, Savignano, Blazer, Furland, and Minto, your top 5. And these 5 drivers up here, I mean, look, you know, Alexander Gangler does not always have great luck when he comes back after a stage break, and you know, he short-pitted himself just ahead of Savignano, Blazer, and Furland. So, you know, you almost have to wonder, has he finally figured this out, or is Savignano eventually going to strap on the hairnet and serve him some lunch? And believe you me, I've watched Savignano, a very talented driver in this league, you know, basically look at race leader and be like, no, that's mine. I was just letting you borrow it for a few minutes. And, you know, at this stage in the race, maybe you want to try to hold back and you know, try to get at least some type of a clean run here for a while. And quite frankly, that's probably the smart move on the track right now, as the iRacing.com pace car leads us here on the backstretch. Chris Custer going to take the 66 down pit road for some much-needed repair now after he had... Oh, nope, never mind. He's kind of flopping around out here. He's got to get in line soon, though. Pace car dips down pit road one more time here. Is Gangler going to have control of the field? He sits just ahead of Anthony Savignano. Gangler opting for the high side, so maybe he knows something that we don't, as most of these drivers enjoy running the bottom. A little bump from Bobby Blazer into the rear of Savignano, and Gangler takes off. This was obviously an ill-timed decision to go on the high side, as a strong driver in Savignano just ripped past Alexander Gangler, who now has to hold off Bobby Blazer and Claude Furlan. The question becomes, how hard do you want to hold them off? Because obviously Bobby Blazer, a strong driver now, all over the rear bumper of Gangler. Now looks to the inside of Gangler. He goes high, and the Michigan Tech number 8 Toyota Supra gets passed by Bobby Blazer out of York, Pennsylvania here on lap number 90. 30 to go here in stage number 2. It's going to be Savignano, Blazer, Gangler, Furlan, Jolie. So a pair of teammates running 4th and 5th right now behind Gangler. And right now, Claude Furlan, the next person to try to serve Canadian bacon to Big Rock, Illinois' very own Alexander Gangler. Just a few, literally just a few Toyota Supras in the field tonight as we go under caution. Now this time Claude Furlan, who we were just looking at, so I'm not sure what happened here. As we see Furlan just behind Gangler. Oh. We're going to run this back and take a peek here and see what happened here with Claude Furlan, because he had his teammate behind him as we go back here to the live feed. Wow, a self-spin as he was challenging Alexander Gangler, and we go back under caution. Anthony Savignano, now your race leader. He gets to go out here and duke it out with Bobby Blazer. And I'll tell you what, Blazer back here, this is the kind of driver that I would want to see in my rearview mirror, because he's going to work with you. He's not going to work against you. We're going to watch these two drivers go at it like cats and dogs later on in this race, but right now they both kind of have to nod to one another and agree to the duel rules. If you think about dueling back in the 1700s and 1800s, you shook hands, you walked 20 paces, and then you fired. And right now, the paces are measured in laps in this league. So, you've got to kind of agree, hey, listen, we'll fire when we get into stage number 3. Right now, it's a matter of getting that far cleanly, as Savignano going to lead us around here behind the iRacing.com pace car. Alexander Gangler running in 3rd. He's going to need a good restart here ahead of Sylvain Joly, who is already starting to challenge him when his teammate Claude Furlan in the 43 had that self-spin just moments ago here, as we are on the 8th caution for cause, 9th total here in the MNN Xfinity Series. Thank you for joining us here in the YouTube.com live chat. I appreciate all the chatter, if you will. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. Let us know who you're pulling for tonight. Taking a look elsewhere in the world of sports, as we do all the time here. The Philadelphia Phillies leading the St. Louis Cardinals in the top of the 7th, 2-0. And the NL Central right now, if you look at this, Pittsburgh, for the first time in what seems like a very long time, the Pirates are leading the NL Central 1 game ahead of Milwaukee. And, we're used to seeing St. Louis at the top of the pile in the NL Central, so it's kind of cool, to see especially another Pennsylvania team. And what I kind of refer to as an unoffensive team. You can't be mad at a team that's usually awful. So good for the Pirates as Anthony Savignano comes into the Geico restart zone, drops the hammer, and absolutely launches like a rocket away from Alexander Gangler and Brandon Minto. Bobby Blazer now in 4th position. Brandon Minto being cheered on by Uncle Scott here, as Uncle Scott has made his appearance in the YouTube.com live chat. All of a sudden, Gangler's starting to fall like a rock, as he is now being gapped by almost 7/10 of a second. There it is, behind Savignano. Nick Hansen in the 99 works just underneath Brandon Minto. This is going to be one that we have to watch, because they are a hornet's nest behind him. Side by side they go. There's the 88 of Michael Witt in the Lipton machine. He's just over top of the 96 of Ethan Ball and now the 25 of Dennis Mickelson. And Dennis here trying to find a place to pull in and take a breather as he's got Mike McConville and Zach Osborne in tow behind him. They start to go single file for a while until you get back to Tony Burt and the 01 of Matt Mackin. Tony Burt, of course, on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap, so good for Tony after that rolling wreck just a little while ago. As Savignano, our race leader, already out to 0.8 of a second. He's obviously proving himself to be worthy of that lead spot that he was fighting Bobby Blazer for so hard earlier. Alexander Gangler running in third place, up 18 positions. Right now, Gangler is the biggest mover of this race, and he's not fading as we've seen so many other times during this series. 102 laps in the books, and he's not giving up. As speaking of people not giving up, all of a sudden, wow, everything on every screen of mine just flashed as obviously Xfinity decided that they didn't want to be lightning fast as always. Looks like Matt Metler has put it on the hauler for the time being. Anthony Savignano, your race leader. Nick Hansen right now duking it out with the 96 of Ethan Ball. Watch the 99 here as we're going to work just around those two. This little three-car Hornet's Nest isn't going to be too much fun if bad things happen. And just ahead, just behind them is the 25 of Dennis Mickelson. Mickelson's starting to give them a little bit of room because you want to give these guys enough room to race. And if somebody makes a mistake, that's fine. That way it doesn't affect you as we ride along here with Mickelson in the 25. We can see the amount of room that he's giving him. That room is not necessarily for them. It's for his reaction time as we work lap 105. So about 15 laps to the end of stage 2 here. It's just going to get scarier and scarier as we move along here. Nick Hansen and Michael Witt settling down for now, and they decide that maybe it's time to set aside our differences. As Osborne now looks to creep in here on Mickelson's rear bumper. Osborne going to bring along Mike McConville with that WrestleMania paint scheme on the 1. So here on lap 107, Anthony Savignano and Bobby Blazer are now pulling away with an absolute commanding lead over Alexander Gangler. Gangler now trailing Blazer by 2.3 seconds and then some as we work lap 108. Side by side they go. Bobby Blazer ready to challenge Anthony Savignano for the lead as they're going to crank up the heat here at Martinsville Speedway. Watch them go at it here, John Force style, as Matt Metler would say. As they run the John Force special down the back chute, they've got the 62 of John Wilco just ahead of them, Tony Burt as well, and Matt Mackin. And Bobby Blazer going to come out the victor as he's basically going to have to use Wilco as a pick there, which makes Savignano have to check up. And as they draft themselves in closer together against Tony Burt. Now Tony Burt kind of gets in the way. He slides, wow, dangerously close to the nose of Savignano in the 50. Working lap 112, caution comes out. Sam Bolin has wrecked. Sam Bolin here in the 67 with Alex Princeton all over his rear. Gets just a little love tap from Princeton and gets spun around. Everybody able to avoid Bolin, and we're going to take a look at that from the perspective of the 19 of Alex Princeton. And Sam Bolin gets spun just like that by Alex Brinson. Ninth caution for cause tonight. 10 total, of course, one of those cautions being the stage break. Mike McConville here in the one. He's only up one spot right now. Zach Osborne up 14 in the 16 machine. Let's see if we can get a hold of old Zach. There he is here in the 11-10 mods. We're going to slide in here with him. Hey, Zach, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. How's it going?
Man, it's going good. Listen, right now, you're one of the big movers of this race. I mean, you're in the middle of the hornet's nest right now. What's the mindset of somebody who's obviously got a strong car tonight, you know, up 14 positions, and you still have to get around some of these cars in front of you?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It's been pretty carnage so far, I would say. The first laps I did this week since last week were the ones that I did in the qualifying. So learning the car a little bit, set's pretty sick. So I'm just trying to kind of move up a little bit. And be a little conservative, you know, use the bumper a little bit, but also there's some good racing right here in the middle of the field. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't had a moment to breathe yourself, which does keep it exciting. It definitely keeps you engaged and the adrenaline pumping. How do you manage that adrenaline and keeping yourself clean and focused, you know, as you dig through this field?
Oh, yeah, I got a good little sweat going. It's pretty warm here in Florida already, and my sim room gets hot with the computer, so I'm just trying to keep my rhythm, kind of key off the guy in front of me. Like I said, I don't have my marks really great right now just because I haven't done very many laps this week. So just trying to key off the guy in front of me. I can get hit in the butt and move up as guys make mistakes. I had a little run in there in the beginning, got an at fault. So I'm trying to be really, really careful with that stuff and so keep my X's down. It's a tough night. You know, it's just short track racing. Everybody's tempers are high and we know that, but yeah, it is what it is. So we'll take this here 11-10 mods car as far as we can go and see what happens.
All right, well, get ready to go back green flag racing. Congrats on moving up 14, and here we go. As we get restarted here on lap number 118. That was the voice of Zach Osborne in the 16 machine. Bobby Blazer getting the jump over Anthony Savignano. He's going to secure the lead for the time being. And I say the time being because that position has been under assault all night long. Right now, Alexander Gangler is suddenly a short track whisperer as he is side by side with the 08 of Sylvain Joly. We can see right now the way that these two are going at it that, you know, Gangler doesn't want to give this up as we're here on lap 120. We should see the caution flag fly this time by as we haul it down the backstretch. Here goes Bobby Blazer getting ready to cross the start-finish line. He rolls out of turn 4. He's got Anthony Savignano running in P2. So Bobby Blazer secures the Stage 2 victory as Dennis Mickelson rounds out your top 10. It's going to be Blazer, Savignano, Joly, Ball, Gangler, Minto, Hansen, Osborne, McConville, and Mickelson. So we're going to get a chance here to check in with Alexander Gangler after Bobby Blazer, of course. We're going to get a hold of Bobby Blazer once again as he won the first stage. And now Stage 2's winner, Bobby Blazer, with us in the broadcast booth. Hey, Bobby, you got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, another hard-fought stage here in Virginia, at Martinsville, Virginia. Obviously, the paperclip is treating you pretty well tonight. You made the move in front of Savignano a few moments ago. How are you feeling, and what's the car doing for you?
The car's feeling a lot better than I thought it would. I'm glad we got some green flag racing. I'm glad that he raced me clean. That was a lot of fun. And man, that's what I come here to do, is have good, fun, clean racing. And I think that's exactly what was happening. So.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're here on the 11th caution. Of course, you know, 9 cautions for cause tonight. That can be a little daunting. But now with this 130-lap, you know, sprint to the finish, obviously the strategy is going to be, you know, maintaining your lead and probably driving a little bit more defensively. As here you go. This time you get the best of Savignano coming off a pit road as you just shuffled him back.
Yeah, I mean, I had like one of the worst restarts. I'm gonna be. I said this back when it was added into iRacing, whenever that was. I absolutely hate restart zones in iRacing. I think that they are flawed and kind of like a gentleman's thing. You all get 30, 40 cars a week in this, it seems like now, which is great. I love that. So like, just make it whenever the pace car pulls off. It makes it just better for the restarts, in my opinion, not only for the second place guy, but just everybody in general. I absolutely hate the whole restart deal. So I'm sorry for everybody I checked up on the high line, but I refuse to get penalized for some garbage like that and have to take it under green flag penalty for no reason. So, I mean, I said in my first interview, it looked like Anthony, you know, kind of got on the gas early sometimes, which is fine. I mean, that is what it is. But I know how finicky these iRacing systems can be, and I hate the restart zone.
Yeah,
I get
sometimes
it.
the restart zone can be more trouble than it's worth.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, you know, this is a full length race, everything. I mean, at that point, just had to choose cone. So I hope that I get better at restarts. But as long as we're all under the same blanket, that's all that matters to me. So this should be a good restart, though. Eugenio has been clawing his way back up. Alex, I think, took 2 tires. So we'll see how that goes for him. But
Gangler is a friggin' cowboy tonight. I don't know how to explain it any other way, man. I mean, look, I used to drive the 8 machine. I know what kind of, you know, stress that you can be under there in that car. And somehow Gangler has, well, usually, and you know, to be candid, usually Gangler, when he does this thing where he tries to get in front of everybody else, something bad happens and he winds up falling like a stone. But tonight, he has been battling his heart out.
Yeah, man. Good luck to him, man. This is going to be a good restart, so I'm excited for you to get to watch it.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, listen, good luck to you, sir, and bring one home for the where you at there? Bring one home for the 717.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely. We're going to move Bobby back up here into the Furta Motorsports stable as he's going to hang out with Brandon Minto the rest of the way here as we are back green flag racing in stage number 3. Eugenio Alonso with a great launch here, and all of a sudden bad things happening deeper in the field. That shuffles Alexander Gangler into second position. Savignano and Blazer now going to be restarting 3rd and 4th, as we're going to see what brought this out. Michael Witt involved. The 88 doesn't get moving as fast. He checks up right in front of Blazer, and Blazer just knocks him right out of the way. Kind of Dale Earnhardt style is. Oh! Another one. Wow. Aye. Another car goes on its roof tonight. If Tony Burt is any indication on whether or not you can still drive after that one, that's the moment for it. So while these guys get ready to rack, stack, and do it all over again, we're going to step aside for another commercial break here on Sim Racing Media. I'm Dave Regal, and this is Monday Night NASCAR.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
center. Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second spot, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Preen Garden Weed Preventer and Preen Garden Weed Preventer Plus Plant Food block weeds before they start and are safe for use around over 400 flowers, vegetables, trees, and shrubs. Best of all, they give you 3 months of freedom from weeding in just 4 easy steps. You can apply Preen anytime before or during the growing season. But since it's a weed preventer, not a weed killer, early spring is best. Here's how. Start by removing existing weeds and their roots in the area where you want to apply Preen. Sprinkle granules directly onto dry soil, mulch, or stone so that they're evenly spaced. Within 24 hours of applying, integrate the granules into the top layer of soil or mulch or stone-covered bed. Finally, water with a hose or sprinkler, or a well-timed soaking rain to activate the protective weed barrier. When activated, Preen creates an invisible weed-fighting barrier just below the soil surface that targets and prevents weed seeds from sprouting and forming roots. People and pets may enter the treated area once dusts have settled and the area is thoroughly dry from watering or first rain. That's it. Now you'll have a beautiful weed-free space and 3 months to do anything but weeding. Satisfaction guaranteed. Trusted for over 50 years, Preen is America's #1 weed preventer brand with weed preventers for every type of garden.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $400,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Martinsville Speedway as we get ready to go back green flag racing. Another incident involving Eugenio Alonso in the 26 machine bringing this one out. We'll try to get a peek here at what might have happened, as it looks like they were battling out for the lead, and, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say what this is because everybody gets hurt feelings when I start to make assumptions. Here we are looking from Anthony Savignano. Savignano gets just behind and nudges Eugenio out of the way and continues on his race. Maybe we'll have to take a look at this from the chopper cam. Or perhaps we should put it in braille so we can get the feel of it. That was a nudge, if I ever saw one. Then, before we even get a chance to go back green flag racing and get up to speed, Bryson Alexander, Claude Ferlin, Sam Bolin, and Tony Burt involved in one here. Let's see what happens here with Bryson Alexander in the 46. Here on the restart, oh, Tony Burt doesn't get spinning quite right. So we're going to take a look here and see what happened with Tony, as he's already missing the front nose clip of the 4. Oh, the 19 gets into, wow. So this starts even further up the line. We're going to watch the 19 of Alex Brinson. They check up in front of Chris Claude. The 19 doesn't know about it. It turns into an accordion. And instead of the beer barrel polka, it's the Martinsville Madness. As Anthony Savignano is coming down pit road for service, this may be a scheduled stop here on lap 146, as we're just about 100 laps, about 105 laps to the end here. Let's see what Savignano does as he pulls down pit road. I don't see the car going up in the air, so maybe this is just a stop for fuel. That's strange. He may be getting damage repaired. Savignano is off of pit road. As we're just going to see, maybe that was a, well, it couldn't have been a penalty. We're under caution. So Anthony Savignano now shuffling all the way to the rear of the field as these drivers up through Mike McConville in 17th position all came down on lap 122 and 123. Michael Witt on 138. McConville here on 145 as we work lap 148. The iRacing.com pace car drops back down pit road. It's going to be Blazer and Gangler leading us back to green. Blazer has been up here in the lead, or at least near it, all night long. And he gets the jump all of a sudden. He's going to bring along Brandon Minto, his teammate, here in tow. So all of a sudden, Blazer and Minto going to be leading this piece now with Alexander Gangler in hot pursuit. Zach Osborne is in the midst of what could be a nasty mess back here if we keep an eye on Sylvain Joly and Ethan Ball in the 96. They're just behind the 16, and if he's not careful, they're going to wind up making contact with him. That Zach Osborne, we spoke with him just a little bit ago in the 1110 Mods Toyota Supra, as he is now chasing down the other Toyota here in our top 5, Alexander Gangler. Just 4 Toyotas in the field tonight, a few Blue Oval Fords, but the rest of this field is very Chevy heavy, if you will, as we work lap 151 of 200, 250, 100 laps to go, and we are under caution. Oh, happy day, as Chris Claude may have just self-spun. Chris Claude just over top of Michael Witt, drawing in on the 78. And there's Chris Claude self-spinning. Very uncharacteristic of the 10 Monster Machine. Fifteenth caution of the night, 13th caution for cause, as Bobby Blazer and Brandon Minto, a pair of teammates, lead the way. We're going to get a hold of Alexander Gangler real quick here, if we can find him. There's Alexander Gangler up in the Bandit Racing stable. Hey, Gangler, it's Regal. You got me?
I do.
Man, listen, ordinarily when I see you up here, you make some kind of a pit strategy move and you wind up falling like a rock by accident. But tonight you have been battling it out with the leaders all night long. How does the 8 car feel, and what are you trying to do up here?
Well, most of the time I get up there to begin with, I've kind of planned the fall back. I just want to save a set of tires. That's kind of actually how I got up here today. The 8 car feels great. I took 2 tires after the second stage, and it's even better now, so we'll see what happens here. Wish my teammate was still up here with the 50, but he had his own issues.
Yeah, here you are sitting, in third position on the restart. You've watched a lot of cautions that wind up breaking your way, because once it freezes the field, it kind of gives you a moment of respite here, in the top 3. What's going to be your strategy now with about 95 to go?
I think for me, my goal is to get 5th this race. So if I fall out of the top 5, I'm going to pay again, get tires, and see what I can do, make it way up the field. Because I definitely think my tires are going to fall up here at the end. But we'll hopefully stay with these 3. We'll see what happens with it.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, good luck the rest of the way. Looks like you're going to be green flag racing any moment now as you get ready to go down the back chute. So good luck, bud.
Have a good one, Dave.
Going to send him back on up there into the Bandit Racing stable. Of course, Alexander Gangler, former race control extraordinaire here in the Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series, as that's how we first met. And, of course, now here he is succeeding in the Xfinity Series. You heard it here first, folks. He's going to save that 1 set of tires and see if he can make them work late in the race, as we are about 95 to go. This time, Bobby Blazer just takes off in front of the field. He brings Brandon Minto and now Zach Osborne along, as Osborne going to be on the high side of Alexander Gangler. They haul it down the back chute, and it looks like Gangler maybe caught some of the beginning of that candy cane, but no worries, as he now slides up in front of Zach Osborne. So Gangler and Osborne, they're going to lead what almost looks like a fighter pilot formation here, as now they get themselves all separated and spread back out. We take a look here at the 08 of Sylvain Joly battling it out with Ethan Ball in the 96. I want to thank everybody for joining us in the YouTube.com live chat tonight. Make sure that you subscribe and turn on those bell notifications right here for Sim Racing Media. That way you can be notified every time we go live. Of course, we've got 6 nights of racing right now on SRM, and it is a busy week no matter who you are or where you are. Of course, here we are on a Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, so about an hour ago, the SCL Series with Alan Bergen and Daniel Paulus Jr. just started. We're glad that you chose to stay here, that's for sure. As, of course, tomorrow night, we'll be right back here with the SNN Truck Series as Racers Elite going to go live at 7:35 with John and Rick. Then Liam and Jordan going to bring you all of the extreme action at 9 p.m. and Mike and Alan bringing you all of the WSRL action at 10:20, as that is our nightcap, if you will. Roughneck Racing Series is at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays with Angel and Alan. Alan is quite a busy fella, if I do say so myself. Racers Elite then with Mike as a solo, kind of like I am tonight here on Wednesday night at 7:30. And then Extreme Cup Series Racing with Liam and Jordan at 9 p.m. Wednesday. Then Thursday, Racers Elite with myself, Dave Regal, and Daniel Paulus Jr. kicks off at 7:30 p.m., the only game in town. Then Friday, of course, we take the night off and kind of relax and take a breather as we get ready for Saturday. Big doubleheader Saturday at 5:30 Eastern with ISNF, Liam, Mike, and Alan calling that, and then ECR with Liam and Emily at 9 p.m. Then it all comes down to Sunday night as I sit alongside my good buddy Matt Metler for the SNN Cup Series right here on Sim Racing Media. We go live, and that should be 7:30 p.m. Eastern, as we have it listed as 8 p.m., but you know the drill right here as we take a look here through the field. Mike McConville right now running in 11th position. That's where he qualified. He's running just ahead of Mason Hoffner and just behind Ron Fitting. And we see Anthony Savignano, who is just battling it out for the lead, crawling his way back here in 9th position. As we go back here to McConville, he's got Mason Hoffner running behind him. Ethan Ball now running nose to tail here with Zach Osborne and Sylvain Jolie, as he is the meat in that sandwich. And Sylvain Jolie all over the rear end of Ethan Ball, as it looks like Zach Osborne going to drift up the racetrack as we haul it down the back chute. Osborne now side by side with Alexander Gangler. As Gangler works to defend that third position, he drifts up in front of Osborne now to throw the block up there. He's trying to be as defensively aggressive as possible. And you know what? Gangler deserves every bit of this right now as Bobby Blazer and Brandon Minto start to run away from the rest of the field. Oh, Ethan Ball checks up behind Gangler here on lap 169. What a good move by Ball to check up when he did, because bad things might have happened behind him or in front of him with the 16 of Zach Osborne. Drifting back here to Sylvain Jolie in the 08. He's just behind the 96 of Ethan Ball. And Ball starting to creep up on the rear bumper of the 16. That's Zach Osborne, the 99 of Nick Hansen, looking from behind, trying to give them as much room as possible for reaction time, as Ethan Ball almost gives the bump there to the 16 of Zach Osborne. We're going to go on board now with Ethan Ball out of Princeton, West Virginia, and almost bumping Zach Osborne. They nearly touch, but they don't. Osborne, meanwhile, is trying desperately to hold on to this position as we're going to ride along with him. A nice hit from Ethan Ball almost loosens Zach Osborne out of Claremont, but he manages to keep it together one more time as now, he is loose as a goose and all over the track. Zach Osborne just sliding around. We're going to see if we can take a peek here at what happened. There is Osborne getting a shove from Ethan Ball as they haul it into the turn. Osborne simply loose as they go 3 wide for just a brief second, and the 96 and the 08 are able to drive around him and off to the races they go. As Sylvain Joly here in the 08 climbs up 4 positions, Gangler still commanding third. He's now seeing the 33 of Ken Ron in front of him as they work here on lap 175 of 250. So about 75 to go now as we go to 176. Bobby Blazer and Brandon Minto in their own world up here as Bobby Blazer from the 717 here in Pennsylvania leads Brandon Minto by 3.75 seconds. Those guys are teammates, but, you know, Blazer is just in a world of his own, so to speak. Alexander Gangler even further back, 6.8 seconds behind Blazer and 3.2 seconds behind Minto. Side by side they go. That's Chris Claude getting out of the way of Alexander Gangler in the 8 machine. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to hear bad things about the 26 on race radio. So we're going to have to go back here to Eugenio Alonso and see what may have happened here as we're going to go to the blimp cam. We see the 26 near Anthony Savignano. Savignano drops down in front of him. And it looks like a pretty clean pass from Savignano. So I'm not sure what the anger or ire was, but so far not a bad pass there from Savignano getting around the 26 of Eugenio Alonso this time by. Bobby Blazer. Whoa! There goes the 88. That's Michael Witt. We stay green. Let's take a peek. The 88 goes to get out of the way of Bobby Blazer. Bobby Blazer makes the pass, and I'm fairly certain that that was some net code that just wiped Michael Witt down here onto the apron just underneath John Wilco. As we stay green here on lap 183, starting to count those laps down here at Martinsville Speedway. Of course, Martinsville, all kinds of history locked up in this old track. Just for fun here, Phillies now lead the Cardinals 3-1 with 2 down, and now you can round. Oh, all of a sudden, 2 on. And as I was just starting to say, Martinsville Speedway has a lot of history locked up in this old track. And, of course, you know, the most wins happens to be by Richard Petty. Most top 5s, Richard Petty. Most top 10s, Jeff Gordon. Richard Petty has the most starts with 67. Darrell Waltrip, old DW, has the most poles at 8. Richard Petty has the most laps completed. That kind of comes with the territory. Most laps led, Jeff Gordon, at 3,779. So a lot of Hall of Famers on this list here at this track. As we take a look at the records, the Cup Series qualifying record set back in 2014 by Joey Logano at 18.898 seconds. Then in the Cup Series, Jeff Gordon finished the 500 lapper in 3 hours 11 minutes with an average speed of 82 miles per hour. Of course, that has a lot to do with how tight things are here. Brandon Jones just this weekend set the track qualifying record at 19.694 seconds in qualifying for the Xfinity Series. Then Ty Majeski this year as well in the Truck Series sets the Truck Series qualifying record at 19.417. The Whelen Modified Tour qualifying time in 2021 was set by Ryan Preece at 18.607. And the combined modified race, Ted Christopher back in 2005 in the 250-lap format goes 55.773 miles per hour in the race for the combined modified. So, you know, unique to Martinsville, winners of the Cup Series, Truck Series, and Whelen modified events receive a long case clock as a trophy and nod to Martinsville's famous furniture history. And that tradition started back in 1964 when Earls decided, who was the track owner at the time, that he wanted to present a trophy that would reflect the Martinsville area. And he chose clocks made by Ridgeway Clocks, now a subsidiary of Howard Miller. But the hot dogs in Martinsville are a notable part of the fan experience. The hot dogs themselves are composed of a hot dog and a bun with chili, coleslaw, mustard, and onions as toppings. Now, the only thing that I'll maybe poo-poo a little bit is the coleslaw. I'm just not a coleslaw guy. But I'll say this. I had a hot dog down in Miami at the Homestead Racetrack back in October, and I got to be honest, it had pineapple on it. That kind of scared me. Julienne fries I wasn't really a fan of, but it added some extra crunch there to the old dog, and wow, was it ever amazing. And I forget what kind of hot dog they called it, but it had a fancy Cuban name. Bobby Blazer running 5.9 seconds ahead of Brandon Minto, as we have now been green flag racing for quite some time. Ethan Ball runs in third, and Alexander Gangler now drops back to sixth. So now we start to look to see if that pit strategy that that Alexander Gangler talked about, if that's able to come to fruition here, as he was last down on lap 122. Now we're just about at 50 laps to go, so there's going to be some questions as we go under caution. Who's going to come down pit road, as all of the leaders were down on 122? Does everybody get on the same page? And does Gangler suddenly decide that he can make some hay here, as we take a peek at Chris Claude and what might have happened with the 10 machine? We see him right here just in front of the 78 of Mike Pratchik. And Chris Claude, another self-spin. Oh, catches Randall Watkins. And gets himself all kinds of turned around. So that's not the way that Chris usually drives. He's usually very patient, very disciplined on the throttle. And here come the leaders. Bobby Blazer, Brandon Minto, Ethan Ball, Sylvain Jolie, Dennis Mickelson, your top five. They all come down. Gangler's going to be the one that we watch here, because he talked about trying to come down and gain some track position here if he had the opportunity. And here he is. He's going to get 4 tires and a tank of Go Fast as they drop the right sides right about now. And here he goes, running away in 12th position as they get ready to come off of pit road. Bobby Blazer stays out, does not come down pit road. He was last down on lap 122. If there's anybody out here who saved his tires enough to get through the final stretch of this piece with now 51 laps to go, it's going to be Blazer. He's going to have teammate Brandon Minto behind him, but Alexander Gangler going to come off of pit road in third position. So Gangler, this is exactly what he wanted to do. He wanted to come down, get that last set of tires. The question is, can he make those tires work, and does he want to challenge for the lead, or at the very least, just hold off Sylvain Joly in the 08 as we get ready to restart? As it's going to be Blazer, Minto, Jolie, Gangler, Ball, Mickelson, Hansen, Alonso, Osborne, Princeton, your top 10. Anthony Savignano, who started up in row 2, he's all the way back in 14th position. Claude Ferland, our neighbor from the north, going to be restarting in 15th position. Bobby Blazer hits the loud pedal, and we're back underway. Bobby Blazer jumps out to 0.8 of a second over Brandon Minto. Randall Watkins involved in another caution here. 15th caution for cause on the night for Watkins as he just gets just in front of Savignano. No contact, and he just gets himself loose. We're going to see if we can watch this from Savignano's perspective here as we go on board with Anthony Savignano. No contact. And maybe it's just Watkins. Watkins caught the candy cane. .45 laps to go. Blazer leads. Minto follows. Sylvain Joly in third. Alexander Gangler going to be restarting in fourth. And Dennis Mickelson restarting in fifth. Gangler up 17 positions. He's our big mover of the night as we work lap number 205 under caution. So not quite as many as last night. That's a blessing. Claude Ferland comes down pit road. Looks like he's got some repair to do there as the rear clip from that deck lid is all gone. Blazer last came down on 122. I'm curious to see how he's able to hold off his teammate Brandon Minto and, of course, Sylvain Joly, Alexander Gangler. Joly no longer has any teammates nearby him. Gangler's teammate, Randall Watkins, just bought it here on this most recent caution. And it looks like Savignano, his only other teammate, is buried back here in the standings in the 50. Savignano all the way back in 18th position, sitting on pit road, and he may have been sent to Dairy Queen land. So a fitting end. Going to be 42 laps to go when we go back. Green flag racing. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out. Brandon Minto, with control of the field, opts to take the high line just ahead of Alexander Gangler in the 8. Gangler starting to creep up there on the rear bumper. He's going to try to match Bobby Blazer on this restart here. As we hit the Geico restart zone, and off goes Blazer. Gangler runs the 8 car just over top of Brandon Minto as they nearly touch wheels. Sylvain Joly once in on this in the worst way as Gangler trying to hold himself now here in 4th position, looking to try to get some kind of an exit run off of 4 and down the front stretch. Bobby Blazer, though, running away from the field. Brandon Minto in 2nd, Sylvain Joly in 3rd, and now Gangler in 4th. He doesn't want to finish below 5th. That's what he said when we had him on the air a little while ago. Side by side goes Ethan Ball and Dennis Mickelson. Mickelson here working the low side, trying to hold Ball off. Eugenio Alonso has battled all night long after getting taken out on lap number 2. Now up here in 7th position, and he is a man on a mission as we're going to go on board with Eugenio here. To me, after all the beating that the 26 has taken tonight, it's a miracle as we go under caution. It's a miracle that Eugenio was even still able to be out on the racetrack. All alone is Savignano, and he spins himself, bumps the wall, and boom goes the dynamite as he is sent off to Dairy Queen. We've had a few good green flag runs tonight here in the MNN Xfinity Series. So it's been a good night. I mean, competitively, these guys have all gotten after one another at one point or another. Alonso running in 6th position right now. And I got to believe that all it's going to take is for him to get ahead of a few more cars, and he's suddenly going to be challenging heavily for the lead. Checking here in St. Louis, the Phillies lead the Cardinals 3-1. In the bottom of the 9th, 1 out. Runners on 2nd and 3rd. The fans in St. Louis looking for the walk-off hit as Walker is going to come to the plate. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Two down now in the bottom of the 9th. As we get ready to go back green flag racing here. Blazer, Minto, and Jolie, your top 3. And it should be 1 to go this time by as the iRacing.com pace car leads us down the front stretch. Crossing the start-finish line, the lights do stay on, so we're going to have a couple of laps left here of caution. We've gotten as many folks involved as we could tonight. As we're going to get a hold of Mike McConville out of Cape May, New Jersey. Hey, Mike, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me.
Hey, what's up, Dave? How we doing?
Not bad. Listen, I just wanted to check in with you here. You just clawed your way here into the top 10. What's going to be the strategy moving deeper into this race? I mean, you know, time is ticking.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot more cautions, and we're just going to have to miss the mess. Try to get the best finish we can.
Now, I saw the paint scheme there on the one car earlier. Were you at WrestleMania yesterday or no?
I was last night.
It looked like a great show in South Philadelphia.
It was amazing.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong. 10-year-old me was excited when I saw The Undertaker and The Rock going at it. That chokeslam was something fantastic.
Loved it. That was the most yelling I've done all night.
Look, all I can say is that the moment that I heard the bell toll when the lights went out in the stadium, I was screaming like the rest of you were. So good luck the rest of the way, buddy. Here we go, green flag racing.
Appreciate you, brother.
I'm going to send Mike back on up here into his race chat. Of course, I hate to pull him away with just such a limited amount of time, but Of course, WrestleMania was held in South Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field. Bobby Blazer gets the jump over Brandon Minto and Sylvain Joly. Alexander Gangler, though, he's ready to start throwing haymakers here to protect that top 5 that he has been working for all night long. He set himself a goal. It was realistic, and here he is battling it out now, dropping down in front of the 26 of Ethan Ball. The 96 of Ethan Ball is Gangler. Eugenio Alonso trying to get his way up in here. He's got a lot of cars to go through. 31 to go, 30 this time by. As Bobby Blazer leads this piece, we are not done yet. As now it looks like the St. Louis Cardinals have now tied it up against the Phillies. It's either going to be a walk-off or extra innings in St. Louis. Now Tony Burt shows up as having wrecked right after Claude Ferlin bumped him. Now we see Tony Burt with Matt Mackin all over the rear bumper. Oh, he catches the candy cane. He gets turned sideways, but he manages to keep it moving forward. So we stay green flag racing here at Martinsville Speedway in the Monday Night NASCAR Xfinity Series. Proud to be with you tonight here on Sim Racing Media. Of course, as always, thank you for joining us over on YouTube, here in the youtube.com live chat. As Bobby Blazer and Brandon Minto show the way toward the start-finish line one more time here on lap 223. They cross it here on 224. The man in the stand usually has a green flag in his hand, but right now, even the flag man is just kind of holding steady and waiting to see what happens next here, as we have not had time yet to just sit here and listen to some of these cars because these drivers have just been that good all night long. We ride along with Brandon Minto here in the 12. 16 laps to go now here at Martinsville Speedway for Bobby Blazer, who leads the way now on lap 235. Blazer has been working all night long to get up here into this lead position. He leads his teammate, Brandon Minto, by 0.6 of a second. Sylvain Joly in third. Trails Blazer by just 1 second, so things starting to tighten up here in the twilight of this race. Dave Regal with you here in the Sim Racing Media broadcast booth. Welcoming everybody into the YouTube.com live chat. Thanks for making us a part of your evening as always. As, of course, everybody's starting to think, you know, maybe it's time for the Ross Chastain move. Bobby Blazer just about 0.8 of a second now ahead of Brandon Minto. As we have had a long green flag run this time, we may get to the end of this piece now under green, which is exciting, especially, you know, when you consider all of the work that these drivers have put in tonight. Of course, speaking of excitement right now in St. Louis, the Phillies and the Cardinals tied up at 3, 2 on, 1 out. Alec Boehm at the dish here in the 10th inning. Bobby Blazer and Brandon Minto leading the way, though, here in the event at hand, if you will. Sylvain Joly running in third, starting to try to get closer to Minto. Minto's going to be a tough pass for him because he's a great aggressive defensive driver. And a run scores for the Phillies here on a little double here into left field down the line. Not even sure who hit that because I wasn't paying close enough attention. Some of us are still watching the race. As we look further back here, Eugenio Alonso looks to the inside of Dennis Mickelson. Mickelson, though, getting the run on entry here into 3 and 4 as they haul it out of 4. Mickelson with the edge over Alonso. We're going to look right here from the gearbox at Alonso, and we see just how strong Alonso is. Watch the front of this car now slam down into the asphalt as they go to make the turn. And Alonso, nice and smooth. He's got a great entry and an even better exit as he's now right on the rear bumper of Dennis Mickelson, as Mickelson is going to have to give up the position to avoid being wrecked by accident by Alonso as they come down the backstretch and into 3, almost getting another bump from Alonso again here with 7 laps to go. Seven to go. Bobby Blazer leading by 1.88 seconds over teammate Brandon Minto. Minto looking back towards Sylvain Joly as Joly in the Accent LED number 08 Ford Mustang, trailing Brandon Minto. Of course, Uncle Scott there in the YouTube.com live chat earlier on checking in with us, saying cheers for beers. As now the Phillies lead 5-3. Nick Castellanos at the dish with 2 outs and a runner on third. 0-1 the count to Castellanos. An exciting night in St. Louis, just in the shadow of that St. Louis arch. As Castellanos is going to fly out to left field. Can of corn there. And now we see whether or not the St. Louis Cardinals can try to pull one out of their hat. 4 to go now, as Bobby Blazer leads the way. He comes out of turn 4, and everything's still green right now. Vivian Minto cheering on, "Let's go, Brandon." Well, Nolan, if you don't like it, you can change channels. Bobby Blazer with 3 laps to go. Here we are under caution. Watching Ron Fitting here in the 3 car just ahead of Mason Hoffner. Hoffner looking to get around him, just gives him that tap that we have seen so many times tonight. It's almost like everybody practiced the Dale Earnhardt move to try to get around this piece. We're going to go NASCAR overtime. And folks, what that means is that basically we're going to rack them and stack them right here. And once that green flag flies, we'll have 2 laps to go. We're going to race around and see whether or not the white flag will come out. If the caution should come out between the green flag and the white flag, we will rack them, stack them, and do it all over again right here on Sim Racing Media. Then, if the white flag should fly, the next flag will end the race, whether that flag is yellow or checkered, and Bobby Blazer holds his own fate in his hand awaiting this restart. The Allen experience saying, yeah, let's go Cardinals. Quite frankly, Allen, you know how I feel about this, and this is the week that we aren't allowed to be friends. I got to agree with you, Paul Hill. It was more of a smack. But, it's something that we've seen so many times tonight. We didn't see a whole lot of that last night. We just saw a lot of self-spins last night in the Cup Series. It seems like in these cars, first of all, these Xfinity cars are tough machines. I mean, that solid axle is enough to take a beating here at Martinsville. And quite frankly, it seems like a whole bunch of people went back to watch some old, NASCAR footage. As Bandit Racing 27 checking in. Of course, that's Randall Watkins. I appreciate it. Here's the thing. It's a situation where at a short track like this, a lot of that field gets thinned out because it's just close racing. Sure, it looks like there's 3 lanes of traffic, and maybe if you're on your local highway, you think 3 lanes is enough. And quite frankly, Randall Watkins from down there in Miami, Florida, I mean, it seems like everything is a 3, 4, and 5-lane highway down there. But here at Martinsville, at these speeds that they're running into the corners, there's just not a whole lot of room. And yeah, Paul Hill, to your point, these cars are a lot more stable at a short track. I mean, we can all hate the next-gen cars or not, but unfortunately, that's what we just have to deal with in the Cup Series. As the iRacing.com pace car going to lead us back onto the front stretch, it should be 1 to go this time by, as we're going to prepare for NASCAR overtime. Bobby Blazer going to have control of the field as the iRacing.com pace car dips on down pit road. Hopefully one final time as they come out of turn number 4. Blazer going to lead us into the Geico restart zone, and we are back underway. NASCAR overtime engaged as Bobby Blazer takes off. He's going to have Brandon Minto in hot pursuit. Oh, no! There goes the 16 of Zach Osborne sideways. We stay green as he pointed forward. Bobby Blazer still leading the way. They are a knot of a mess behind him. Eugenio Alonso right in this mess as the 96 of Ethan Ball now comes out the victor here in 7th position. Bobby Blazer takes the white flag. We're racing back to checkers. Bobby Blazer has dominated the latter half of this race as it looks like half the rest of the field is now wrecking behind him. The checkered flag is going to fly. We stay green flag racing. There it is. Bobby Blazer, your winner here at Martinsville Speedway. He's followed by teammate Brandon Minto and Dennis Mickelson, your surprise 3rd place podium finisher. We're going to take a look back here and see what happened with Mike Pratchik, as it just seemed like there was a knot of a mess of a problem back deeper in the field here. As, there goes Mike Witt, the 78, and they just spin themselves around. But too little too late as Bobby Blazer captures the checkered flag here at Martinsville, and he's ready to burn it down. Ron Fitting here in the YouTube.com live chat. Kind of a rough night for him as we're going to go to Bobby Blazer here in the 90. His teammate has found his way down here. Let's see if we can get a hold of Bobby. Hey, Bobby, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Man, what a run you had tonight. I mean, you've got your teammate in tow just behind you. Take us through this. I mean, a hard-fought battle here at Martinsville.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun race. I had a lot of fun up front. The racing up front was really clean. I was involved in maybe an accident, but I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know. I heard that they changed if you take blame, so I don't want to say nothing, but I was there, so I don't really know what they want me to do. So other than that, I mean, up front was great racing. Sucks Anthony
Just
had the issues he
plead
had.
the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, plead the Fifth, man. I mean, I'll always take fault if I deserve it, man. I've taken my medicine several times in this league and other points of my existence that are relevant to this conversation, but the point is that I don't come here to hit anybody or cause any issues. I'm here to have fun, and myself and Anthony showed that that's how I race. So sucks he has some issues, especially under caution. I mean, I'm glad it was under caution to an extent. I would rather him not slam the wall under green flag and cause an issue, but that kind of sucks, and I feel like from that point on it was easy sailing. But yeah, man, I really had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it was an exciting race from start to finish. This definitely didn't get itself strung out, like we saw last night in the Cup Series. Once again, the Xfinity Series, to me, just, the cream of the crop when it comes to, getting it done safely and doing it the right way here at Martinsville. So before we cut you loose, who do you need to tip your helmet to tonight?
First off, I want to thank my sponsor, Blaze Vintage. They have such cool clothing, and they do a lot of cool stuff with foam-based cameras like 35mm and VHS-C, so check them out. They're mad cool. I want to thank Brandon for racing me clean the whole night. He gave me lots of good advice and was helping me out on the restarts and stuff, and I appreciate him, obviously. I'm kind of like a fluid team person. Like, I don't really the team I started this league with way back in 2022 doesn't really exist anymore, at least in this series. So like, I just kind of hang out with a bunch of different people. So I appreciate everybody for letting me join their chats and hang out and bounce ideas and pitting strategy and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've won, man. I mean, I haven't really been around, but having 30-something cars show up, I know it wasn't, green flags for 250 laps, but I mean, we had a solid probably 100 laps under green, so I can't be mad about that. But shout out to myself, Blaze Vintage. Shout out to Running Racing Designs, made this very nice paint scheme. Shout out to everybody else. I just got to shout out Mike Witt because he's sending me DMs in the chat right now. He's an absolute idiot. The 88 car just shouldn't even be on track. He wants to be a grown-ass adult. He should act like it. That garbage he tried to do and, try to intent wreck me and all that's garbage. So shout out to him. Take that win away. I don't care. I still have more success than he has already this season. So shout out to him. Shout out to everybody else. I appreciate you, Dave. You do a good job every single week. And I appreciate Chris for having this league. He's put up a lot of his own money this season because we don't have a sponsor. Having 30 people show up every week and only 15 of them care about racecraft is kind of sad, but those other 15 should chip in and have to pay every time they do stupid ass moves. So Mike's probably up to about $400 now. So shout out to Mike, and hopefully I'll talk to you next week.
All right, my friend, listen, way to bring it home for PA tonight, and yes, absolutely, we will see you next week, so congrats, and go ahead and celebrate with the team.
Thank you, bro.
That, of course, the voice of Brandon Minto, winner tonight here at Martinsville. I'm sorry, Bobby Blazer. And next, and certainly not least, of course, with the biggest support system here in our YouTube.com live chat, Brandon Minto out of Norman, Oklahoma. Do you have a copy, sir?
I got you, Dave.
Man, listen, Uncle Scott finally gets active in the YouTube.com live chat tonight. He probably didn't even know that he was a celebrity here in this league.
Oh, he definitely knows. Like, we have a little group chat, him, my dad, my brother, and he knows that we always give shout outs to him and everything. So he definitely enjoys hearing his name called out.
Well, it looks like Mom's hanging out, cheering you on. I mean, listen, you guys did a heck of a job trying to keep it, clean up front tonight. A lot of hard fought battling, toward the front of this piece tonight. But, the mayhem behind you kind of hindered you and Bobby, it seemed like, for a little while.
Yeah, the lap traffic wasn't too terribly bad tonight. We luckily had a few runs where we were able to get to lap traffic. I thought that tonight was going to be just a caution fest. It kind of turned into a little bit of a caution fest, but there was a few good long runs, and I enjoyed those long runs, just getting to drive for a little bit instead of going 45 miles an hour the whole time around the track. But yeah, Bobby was just able to drive his way through. I was just sad to see Anthony Saviano. He had like a wheel connection issue or something, so he ended up hitting the inside wall, because that would have been a fun battle to watch. I knew I didn't have any speed for either one of them, but just watching them from behind, him and Bobby, that would have been a fun battle to watch.
Yeah, it's always tough when drivers here in our sport, because it's sim racing, have a hardware issue, especially if it's an interface between, the hardware itself and the computer. I've had issues, just on the broadcast side, so I know how frustrating that can be as a driver as well. So, tough break for Anthony. But, for yourself here, you wind up with another top 5 here on the season. It's going to definitely increase your stock in the points standings. So what are you thinking about as we head into next week?
Honestly, Dave, I'm excited to not have to use the brake pedal as much. I'm excited to go back to these 1.5 miles and actually show a little bit of speed. Like you've known for a while, like I know Mike Wright, when he comes in for broadcast, he talks about how much I've improved on these short tracks and everything. Like I'm just excited to go back to a track where brake pedal, it's necessary. Like if you see a wreck in front of you and everything, but it's maybe just a tap of brake pedal going into one at Texas, and then other than that, it's just full speed, and that's what I'm excited to get back to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and of course the 1.5 miles are bread and butter for you and Mike, and Bobby hanging out with you in the team chat tonight. Definitely the three of you I expect to see battling it out next week at Texas Motor Speedway. So congrats to you for bringing it home tonight, which kind of springboards you into the 1.5 miles as we get into that stage of our season. So before we cut you loose, as always, who do you need to shout out tonight?
Yep, always got to give a shout out to my parents. They were tuned in tonight. My mom, my dad. My mom, I just went and tried to scan through the chat real quick. I saw she commented on there. So, Mom, I'm glad you watched. Uncle Scott tuned in too. He just got out of shoulder surgery about a week and a half ago. So I'm glad everything's going well with him. And then I had a few friends tuned in tonight as well. I don't know how many were actually active in the chat or anything, but I just want to give a shout out to my friends. And Bobby was clutch as clutch could be, being not officially a member of FERDA, but he is an honorary member. Taking the outside restarts helped me out a lot. So I got to give a big shout out to Bobby. Like, good win tonight for him. And then always got to give a shout out to you, Dave. Put on a good broadcast. I love watching all the broadcasts and everything. So yeah, it was a fun one tonight. I'm glad we got a few long runs.
A fun one it was. All right, buddy. Well, listen, we're going to see you next week at Texas. I appreciate the kind words, and we'll get you out of here. Congratulations, man.
Absolutely. Have a good one, Dave.
And last but certainly not least on our podium tonight, going to be Dennis Mickelson as he brings the 25 home on the third step of the podium. Hey, Dennis, it's Dave up here in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Hey, Dave, I got you.
Dennis, listen, a great run tonight. I mean, you kind of shocked the world when you wound up here on the third step. How does it feel to, come up those 7 positions out of the top 10?
That was pretty awesome. The car was fast tonight. Cool just to survive. Last week at Richmond, I thought we had a great ride too, but things didn't work out. We wound up with a bunch of damage, so it was nice today to just run all the laps.
Yeah, I mean, when you're able to put it together and then, just use that patience and use that discipline and get to where you are, it's one of those where, I called your number a couple of times, but then all of a sudden I look up at the pylon and I'm like, holy Christmas, look at this guy running up here into third position. I mean, that's when when you fool the broadcasters and kind of give us a surprise, that's when you know that you're down there doing everything the right way on the racetrack.
Well, I was probably just as surprised as you were. I was just hoping for a top 10.
Hey, trust me, I get it. Believe me, back during my driving days, I was like, hey, listen, I'm happy to get out of the top 15. So I know exactly how you feel. But next week we go back to the 1.5 miles. We're going to Texas Motor Speedway. How do you feel once we get back to those bread and butter tracks?
I think I have a bit of confidence. It'd be nice to be able to get spread out a little bit and turn some laps instead of being so congested and bumping and banging. So I'm excited. I think we'll be in good shape.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, congratulations on the third place finish tonight. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to tip your helmet to and shout out tonight?
Need to thank everybody at team.
Next week at Texas.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Want to thank everyone for tuning in once again here on YouTube.com. Always a pleasure when we're able to get these races finally completed after such a long night here. Bobby Blazer brings home the win ahead of everyone else in the field. He's joined on the podium by Brandon Minto and Dennis Mickelson. Sylvain Joly finishes in fourth, while Nick Hansen rounds out your top five. Cape May, New Jersey's very own Mike McConville brings home sixth position, followed by Ethan Ball and Alex Princeton in seventh and eighth. Ninth is Alexander Gangler, who led for a little while tonight and battled it out in the top three for quite some time, finishes in ninth position, and rounding out the top 10 is Zach Osborne. Eugenio Alonso, who qualified up on the outside pole, winds up finishing 11th position with Mason Hoffner in 12th. Ron Fitting and Mac Mackin come home in 13th and 14th, while Mike Pratchett comes home in 15th position. Claude Ferlin comes home in 16th with Sam Bolin, Michael Witt, Tony Burt, and John Wilco out of McAdoo, Pennsylvania rounds out your top 20. Bryson Alexander, Ken Ron, and Keith Black come home 21st through 23rd, while Chris Custer from Ohio comes home just ahead of Anthony Savignano, who finishes in 25th position. Randall Watkins from the Miami-Dade Fire and Rescue finishes 26th, with Chris Claude, your chief cook and bottle washer here in the SNN Family of Racing Series, in 27th. Matt Metler, my partner and brother from another mother, from Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action, comes home in 28th, while Corey Burkett, Daniel Moynihan, and Richard Pruitt round out the rest of the field. Noah Hamilton does not complete a single lap tonight in green flag action, but still tried to make the start tonight as Bobby Blazer just put on a clinic in the latter half of this race and showed us what he's made of from the 717 right here in Pennsylvania. So congrats to Bobby Blazer. And, of course, next week we look ahead to Texas Motor Speedway. But don't forget to tune in tomorrow night as the SNN Truck Series is ready to take on the Paperclip right here for 200 blistering laps right on Sim Racing Media. So for everybody else here at SRM, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us tonight and, welcoming us into your homes and onto your phones here. As always, just glad to be with you every night. And as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.